All right, good morning, everyone. So, welcome to class today. Uh, we've been learning about React hooks for a while, and we've gone over a couple of them: use state, use effects, use ref. Last one we did, we use reducer, and we saw that use reducer is an alternative for use states. But you use it when you are working with a large application. When you want your application, you want your state to be managed in a more structured manner. So use it during that period, or you use it when maybe you have like large number of people working a um, on the app. So as the app gets bigger, you want to manage it using a better kind of state manager. So you use reducer for that. So how does this work? How does this work? So this is just me going over what we did the last time. Now, what we had, what we had was we did a replication of um, add on this. I'm just going to and so yes, just um, why are you stubborn? All right, so we just had an input field and a button here. And our goal was that, well, when you put a person's name, you can click on submit. And then you get a list of people here. Easy as pie. So in doing that, yeah, we also had a modal, a kind of a pop-up that shows up, oh, new person has been added. And then we also did, person has been removed. So that kind of stuff. That was what we were trying to achieve. And then normally we'll just use a use state. We just use a use state. Now, if your application is small, you don't need to go into using use replace and all that. So when you have, well, large application, your application is large. So it is just a small form like this. Just use this and pass. So let's go back to code. So what happened is normally we will use our states because we actually using a controlled input. Remember, controlled inputs are those ones you manage with states. So yeah, I actually said I'm brushing it, so I might be a bit fast. So try and keep up. Okay, so this is tied to my input here. So I have a form, input and button here. So remember, when you're using controlled input, you have to use your value and then the unchange. Now, in doing that, I actually have my modal here. This is my modal, is expecting modal content, is also expecting a close modal function. So what happened is if you want to use reducer, first of all, it is remember I said it's similar to your state, use state. So you're destructuring the states and you're destructuring the handler, so this dispatch. So this dispatch always sends an action. And then when you call use reducer, remember it's a hook. Use reducer. Use reducer is expecting two things. It's expecting a reducer function, which is actually on a different file. It's in, where did I put it? Okay, okay, so yeah, it's here. So I have a reducer.js. So this So I have this function, I exported it, and I'm importing it inside use reducer business. That is is a named export. So this is now saying, okay, so this reducer function, I'm importing it here. So this is this. And then you have a default state. So this is the default state, which is basically an object. It's, well, everything that you need. Now, first thing that I needed to do was that, yes, I have this, is expecting a name. So after imputing this name, I actually set my state. After imputing this name, I have a handle submit. So when I click on this form to submit it, it calls this function. Remember, you have to use prevent default. So if there is a name, if there is a name value, so remember that strings, this will kind of give you true if there is a value inside it. If it's empty, it will give you false. But if there's a value, this will give you true. That's coming from your state actually. So empty string means that this will not work. When you put a value, this becomes true. So if true, you now create this object. So let new person be the ID, and then we use this new date get time to string because it's always going to change with every time that passes. So we get the time at that moment and we change it to string, and then we also add the name from here. So when we do that, we reset our form. Yeah. By
All right.
yeah,
I have a quick question.
yeah.
I noticed you moved all your states to the default state. That's the people and then the is mother open. But it didn't touch name.
Yes.
And when I was going through the video, I was actually wondering why he didn't move name.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, I just did a mix of both. I just did a mix of both. But you can actually use this to control everything. But I just did, you can combine your normal states inside here and then use this. So this you can actually do it inside here. But I just wanted to blend both of them so that you know that you can combine both of them. All right. Is that fine? You get that?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Did you know you didn't get what I said?
Because yeah, I got you, but it was a little bit confusing because it felt like everything was working because you splitted it this way.
No,
Because
well,
I was not.
yeah, so I just needed this. I just wanted to use this within here. Every other thing, we could manage it from outside. You can also manage this name from outside. The only thing is you just need to set this. You probably need to do a what is it? State dot is modal. So state dot name here. So if I move this out here, I'll need to do a state dot name here because if that updates, so I'll do that here. And then I also need to dispatch. So it all depends on the structure of your this thing. It depends on the structure of your code because using it, in fact, thinking about it, using it inside here, it's not that it's not possible. Using it inside here, just means that if I do this, if I put Okay. It's just that this is not our focus for today. If it were in the last class now, I'll start playing around with this thing. But if I move this up here, if I use name here, let me use. I'll now need to do this. Uh, okay, this name. So it will be something of this sort. And then you're not even going to use a set name. You have to now dispatch something here to update that. So that felt like even a long kind of process. So since I just needed to do the work here and move my data to another point, it's the moving of data to another point that was the major destin here. So I just needed to use this name stuff. Jumping hoops. Okay. So I just needed to use this name, get this name here, just manage it with my simple states. Then when I have done this, I move that information, I move this information. So I created this and then just move the result from it to the whole reducer thing to do the work there. But if I'm trying to manage it with this one, anything that you're doing inside here that has to do with a mutation, like a change, you have to dispatch. So it kind of felt like too much work just to what update the name here, because if I'm saying I am changing anything here as I'm typing, if I'm trying to manage this like a controlled state, I have to dispatch here. I have to call this dispatch here, and then I'll probably give it a type, and then it has to now check what it's doing. So I just had to use that state here. So, and then it was also a case where you could see that, yes, you can actually do a combination of both of them. But then I think it's something that you can also try that. It's the only thing is you have to dispatch. You have to dispatch. I don't know if that is clear.
Yes, it's good. It's good.
All right. So I just want let's just I want to rush this thing because what I have to teach today is also another big something. Okay. So so I am managing because I created. Okay, so back to how I was doing this. So I have this form, I have handle submit. Handle submit triggers or calls this function. Then so that I don't have a reload, preventing defaults. So if there's a name, I am creating this new person object. And when I create this new person object, I dispatch. I call, I dispatch. Now when you're dispatching, you're passing an object. This object here is called an action. So this is an action. Now, an action has two things. So it has a type. It has a type, and then that type has this add person. So add person here has to be referenced inside this reducer function. So if you check, there is an add person. So there's action.type add person. So when it comes here and checks for that add person, it now does what it is supposed to do in this place. So let's go back here first. So add person, and it also takes a payload. So a payload is what you use to update the state there. So this new person is passing as a payload. Alternatively, so if there is this, do this. Else, you have to dispatch this one that says no value. And notice that this one does not have a payload. So these two things are actually referenced here. If we come here, so let's just go over what is inside here. So you have your reducer takes two things. So it takes the state, which it has to play around with. It takes the action, which it has to check and perform whatever logic you've specified inside it. Now, when it comes here and it searches for add person and it sees add person, so you can actually use switch to do this this, instead of what I'm doing here. So you're like, if the action type is equals to add person, then you want to create a new array where you spread the state. So remember that state here corresponds with the state here corresponds with state here corresponds with this state here. This default state references this guy, which in turn points to this guy. So this state, when it comes here, we have states, which you spread. States.people is an array. So you spread states.people, and then you add the payload. So remember the payload is an object already. So when you flatten this one out, inside this, so you have, if it's empty, this now becomes the first item inside here. Then you have to return. You always have to return. Now in returning, you're returning the whole state first. Then you have to now do the individual objects. I mean the individual properties rather. So you have people, which you have to do the updated people because this is what it is. So people now becomes the new array that was formed. Now its modal open becomes true, and we are managing managing our modal using state.isModal here. So if this is not true, definitely this one will not show up. Then, so here, this now sets it to true. Remember, we are passing props of modal content inside here. So this states.modal content. So this always goes inside here to display what we see on our screen. Put a name of it. This is passed in props. So then again, so when there's no value, you still return the state. You open the model and you're like, please add a value or please enter any text that you want to do. So if I try to do this, it tells me, please enter a value. Does it update? Does it update other things? So it did not have to play around with the people array, so no need for that. But then remember that you're spreading states. So this state kind of returns this updated people, what you had there before. These are the only things that we are changing. So you're doing is modal is true. The modal content is please add a value. And then we also had another one where you want to close the modal. So remember, see now, we are not touching any other thing. You're resetting the modal content to empty string. Your setting is modal to false. Now, where do we call this? So this is called inside. Come here. This is the close modal function. So we actually have this inside the modal. So we have close modal, calling close modal. So close modal function is passed inside here. So when this is it. So when this is mounted on the screen, we set a timeout for 3 seconds, after which it now calls the close modal function. which in turn loses it. So notice I don't have a cancel button that I do cancel or anything. When I do this after 3 seconds, it goes off. I'm using use state. So after 3 milliseconds, it just calls this close modal function, which references, so which is referencing this. And then this dispatch type close modal is called. Then we in turn come into the reducer, return the state. The modal is set to false, and the modal content is empty. So well, that was like that in a nutshell. That's like what use reducer does. I don't know if anybody has like any question. Can you guys hear me? Let me be certain I'm still okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, so let's go into the matter of today. So that was what we did in the last. So for today, we are talking about an interesting topic. So I'm just going to create a new file and I will call it what? Prop drilling. All right. So I also need to replace these things. Okay. You overstayed your welcome. Hmm. Okay. Oh, I've not done this. Let me just. Okay. So let me just do this. RAF. Right. Okay. So I have this. I'm going to comment this out. So we are talking about prop drilling today. What is prop drilling? See, does anybody have an idea? What is prop drilling? What do you understand by prop drilling? Yeah, anybody wants to go for it? What prop drilling? Yeah, Austin.
Okay, from what I understand on prop drilling,
Mm-hmm.
for components, we have children components and parent components. So in order to pass
Okay.
a data, you have to pass data that's pass props to the children. You have to pass data through props actually. So no matter how much the child component is nested actually in the parent, so we keep drilling the prop just like we keep passing them from one child to another child just like that, or child to grandchild just like that. So that's prop drilling. So you are drilling from the parent to the generation of props.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Okay, okay. So that is actually prop drilling. Prop drilling has to do with, like as the name implies, you're drilling props. Remember that React has this I mean, unidirectional flow from parents to child. So you're pushing the prop down to where you actually need it. It could be like you have four children prop, and then maybe it's the last one that you need to use it inside. You need to use that either the state or the handler. So you need to pass and pass and pass and pass until it gets to that point. So I'm going to demonstrate that. So we're going to go slowly, slowly. Okay, so let me return this. So first things first, I'm just going to create a section. So we're going to deal with prop drilling, and then we're also going to talk about how to what do they call it? How to fix it or how to handle prop drilling, an alternative you can use instead of having to drill prop, because it gets messy along the way. It gets really messy. Remember, you're coming late. All right. So so here now, I'm just going to have a history where I will just say prop drilling. Okay, then I want a component which I'm going to create list. Okay. Elamo, 15 marks has gone out of his work. Okay, so I'm going to just create const list. Okay, so here now, we're going to just have, okay, let me just create a state const people. People are suffered in our hand. People and set people. Use state. Okay, so here, it should be an empty array. All right, so we have this. So here, we're just going to do people. Also, obvious in people. And inside here now, we're just going to map. Here we are just going to say people. Map. So this gives you a person, single person. Where you can just return single. Hmm. Okay, so a single person. Yes, I don't need it on both ouch. Okay. Okay. So because it's a this thing, you need to set up a key as the person. Okay, so it's now looking for, yeah, so remember this is a prop, so we are doing people. Then we also need to create. Okay, then we also need to create, what do they call it? Single person now. So I'm just going to try and create everything at one single person. Okay, so single person here. So this will just take an ID and a name. So we're just displaying the person's name. I can spell name. Okay, and inside here, we will just supposed to return this to be a return, not okay. So return. Right, so it should come at the back. Hmm. Okay. Mhm. Okay, so yeah, it should come here. Oh, am I missing there? Mhm. Okay. Okay, so this is actually supposed to return either a fragment. Jumbling things up here. Okay. Yeah, so you have to bear with us. So inside here too, I need to also return so that I don't get to face that problem in. Let me just do, well, this guy is just going to be a div. This div will just contain a name. So I'll just do h4 and just the name. And we'll have a button. Just do a button. Okay, so okay, let's see how this goes. Okay, I just create a new file. I'm just going to, because I need to style this somehow. Alright, I need to do this. Let me just do this. Okay. I do it. Be a string. Okay. Let's go back to this guy. I gave it a class of it here. Let me see what I need. I save. Okay. Yeah, so what and what do we have? We have some issues here. All right, so first things first. First things first. We're just going to create, we're going to just create a dummy kind of array where I have my ID. I'll just say this is, let's use number. So one, name, Spider-Man. Okay, two, and okay. All right, so I'm supposed to have commas. All right, so let's see. What did I do? I put them on buttons. Lists, single person. So for some reason, so my button is showing, yes, good and fine, but the name is actually not showing. So reason being that here, I think I need to spread, I need to do this. Yeah, so I have this. I also now need to do, okay, so let me just do this flex class here. So the flex. Yeah, okay. So I have this. So and I should just do a margin button. So don't mind this class actually. Okay, so I'll just do this here at once. This instead of the, yeah, so we want to be able to click on these buttons to be able to, so we want to be able to do, to click on these buttons to remove, to delete each of these. So but then the problem is this is nested down inside. So first things first, somebody should guide me. I need a function I need a function to remove a person from here. Yeah, somebody should guide me so that I'm not just doing this on my own. So how do I do it? Who is going? Who is going? I want a function to remove people. Can you guys hear me? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I need a function to remove people.
Okay.
Yeah, so how do I go about that? Okay.
So we can use filter. We can use filter method in an array.
Okay.
We remove people equals the arrow function. Oh no, not arrow function. Yeah, the people. Yeah, people.
Okay. So we are passing a people.
Okay.
What's going? What is?
Person I you can put ID there
Yeah, you
in
can
the
put the no.
bracket.
You can put no. You can yeah. You can. Anyway, you can still do it both way. So inside now, you can pass in prop if you want. Yeah, people. Then inside,
Okay.
people are maybe command ID. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Then what again?
Then we can now say people dot filter.
Okay. People filter.
Yeah. Then maybe yeah,
Okay. Person.
people arrow function where people is not
So
equals
you're
where people
using people
ID.
here.
Okay,
So,
maybe we can use
so I'm using
person.
person here. Yeah.
So where person dot ID is
Okay.
not equals equals then person ID.
Some I
Yeah.
yeah. So
Then return maybe
supposed
we
to
should
be
just
person.
yeah
Okay, then we update states, right?
yeah
We do
update
a set people.
set people.
Okay.
I think we need to put that people in maybe a variable. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can just say let updated
Yes.
people. Okay. Yeah, so this guy is declared and is never used. All right, so now the problem that we're having here, so this is actually, yeah, we can actually filter people with this. But we're having an issue here. And the issue is that how do we get this remove person? How do we get it up to this point? And I simply just do
On click
uh,
on
okay.
click then we can add then a function. No.
So I'll
I
click
think we need to do
remove.
like a okay.
Yeah, so this is here. So
We need to
it's
fire a
access.
function to call that remove person. Like
Okay.
parentheses, yeah, parentheses in
Okay.
of the on click before the remove person.
I'm not, I think I'm not getting you. You say we need to do what?
No, like it's not like we okay. No, like to pass in the ID. That we need to like fire a function first before we now put in the ID of the person. Yes.
Okay. So here we pass in the ID.
Yes.
Hmm.
Then we need to fire the before the remove person, like a parenthesis, then arrow function that will fire the yes.
How, you mean like this?
Yes, then fire it. Yes.
Yeah. Still doesn't give us what we are looking for, I think.
Say remove person is not defined.
So
I thought the function was up.
the function is up now. Do you see how many children we have?
Okay, okay. I think I understand now. Okay. I think yeah. I think we need to pass it in as a prop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to pass in from the parents, remove person, and then we'll say remove person. So this is how you can handle that. Remove person. So we're passing this through the first layer. Now get to the second layer. Now do another remove person equals remove person. And well, this has to come from here, right? Okay. Forget all these ones are just prop validation, blah blah blah. Let me just disable this. Okay. So then we also need to move this one down inside here. We have remove first. So when we do this, let's go. Click this, it goes up. Click this, it goes up. So we had to move all the way from the first layer. We drill down to the second layer, and then we now got to this point where we had to use this to work. That's how prop drilling happens. So you go from one layer to the next layer to the next layer. That's how it works. Is anybody confused? Okay, so all right, so let's check. Let's move on. If nobody has a question on this, we'll move on to a fix for this, where you don't have to dig in and dig in and dig in. So I'm just going to leave this one, and I am just going to create another file, and I will just call it context API. Yes. All right, so I will do my RAFCE usual, and I am just going to do something here. So I'm just going to get from the prop drilling, just going to get everything inside this. So I'm trying not to tamper with other stuff. Just get all of this. Move it inside here. Person. Okay, this should have gone up. Okay, so different things. By removing I'm removing this guy, removing this return to okay, then what do I have? I'm supposed to change here to context. Okay, so instead of React here, Use. Right. All right. So in context API, it's almost the same thing. Almost the same thing. We just almost the same thing, but the only thing is that we don't have to drill down inside. So, okay, I need to change this inside my app. Great. All right, so we have this. Now, context API has to do with where you manage your state at a global kind of level. So you don't need to pass props like that. From wherever it is, from the top level there, you're able to trigger a function or use a state, and automatically it works. So you just need to set it properly, and then you'll be able to use that. Let me just go back here. So all this drilling here and there that we're busy doing, if you're using context API, you don't need to do this. You don't necessarily have to do this. So we're going to see how that works out. So first things first. Okay. So first things first, we need to, okay, just a moment. So first things first, we need to get in use context. So we're trying to create the whole context in, which keeps things at like a global level. So then you have to do this on a global level. You create a constant where you're like people or person context. Let's keep it singular, person context. So this person context is just going to get the react dot rate context. So I actually removed react from here. Alright. Okay, so react dot create context. So we are creating a context. This context here kind of gives us access to two things. So let me just, I don't know, let me see. So log person. Right, let's go over this. Okay, so this actually gives us access to two things. We have a consumer context, and then we have a provider context. What you need is this provider context. You need the provider context. And this provider context is, so there are two components, consumer and provider. This this thing has to wrap your entire application, has to wrap, if you're building an application, like if we don't have fragments of this application, you have to come to your app.js. That's it. Or here rather, to your main.js and then wrap it. What we are going to do now, I'm going to show you. So let's go back here. So here now, I'm going to do, where is my cursor? So I'm going to do a person context dot provider. So this is the root of, this is the main component. So you have to wrap, if you're doing this, you have to wrap the main component. So all right, so this is the main component. Now this thing has an access to value. It has an access to value. Now this value, if I do hello, so this value, this is where you'll be passing in everything that we need to do. Remove person, the state, anything. This is where you're going to be passing it. So from here, it gets down into wherever you want it, no matter how nested this thing is. So for me to use this thing, for me to get this value here, let's say I want to get it inside here. I'll just say, so for me to use that, I'll just say const data is equals to what? Use context. Remember we had that use context hook. So this accepts a context object. Okay. So we are going to pass our person context here. And we are going to console log this data. Okay, so let's go to this. I hope I've saved. And you see, I have hello. I didn't need to pass it down. No, I didn't need to pass it and drill it up to this point, but I am able to get this hello that is passed inside here. I'm able to get this. So we are not going to be passing hello. We're just going to be passing an object which will contain everything that we need. So if I say remove person, which is this function that is here, I'm passing it inside here as the value. Let's come back and see. So inside this data, let's see, what are we getting? We have remove person function, which takes what? Person ID and all of that. So I can just come here. I'm going to remove all these things. So uncalled for. I'm going to also remove this. So unnecessary. And also going to remove works. So let's see if this works. All right, let me reload my app. And okay, remove person is not defined. Okay, so we have this issue, and I'm actually supposed to destructure this here. Oh, sorry, yeah, I'm supposed to destructure this. So I have remove person here. So let's try it again. Okay, so you see, I'm able to delete everything inside here without having to drill down and down and down. I don't know. Is anybody confused about what I just did? Is anybody confused? Yeah, bye.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of confused because
What
yeah, I don't know if
aspect?
you can. I don't know if you can actually just from where you did the structuring.
Here?
And I'm trying to how it actually takes effect on the last component.
Okay. But you get the whole wrapping of the app, wrapping of your parent component. So I'm just keeping this on a local kind of level. So you need to wrap this with your provider. So remember that this is coming from person context. So person context, and you're picking the provider, person context the provider, which you have access to a value. Now this value is supposed to take in everything concerning your, well, anything concerning, and if you want to mutate, if you want to do anything, your functions, your your states and all of that, they can go through here. Now, for us to be able to use this wherever I want to use it, remember, you're going to use context because it's on this level. You're going to use context. We're doing it on this file level. So you're going to use context. And then you're going to pass in this person context. This person context. Now, the way this thing works is it's going to see everything that you're sending inside here. If I'm sending this remove person, if I'm just sending people inside here. So if as I'm console logging, okay, instead of the structure, let me just go back to the data that I had. Oops. Okay, so this is actually going to throw an error. Okay, so you see that we have access to this people array. So whatever you pass inside there, it goes down the different levels. So it comes from here, enters this one, enters here. But for you to use this in here, for you to use it here, you need to store it in a state where you can destructure it to use the particular one. As I want to use remove person here, I am picking it from this. This is an object. Remember, we sent this object from here, this object. So we need this remove person. And this remove person, we need to destructure it from this person context. Person context is, it contains everything that we are passing inside here. So we are saying remove person. That's what we need here, right? So remove person. And then I'm able to now use remove person as it is here. So on click, remove person. So it calls this function, which is already here. We pass it inside here. We're able to get it inside here just by destructuring the person context, which is what we created above here. So with this, we're able to delete any item that we want to delete. I don't know if you're clear on that. Are you clear on that? Are you clear on that, Barry?
Yeah, for now, yes.
Okay. So
For now.
remove person. Yeah. So in the same vein, actually, in the same vein, we can actually pass in the people listen and not do this prompt reading thing that we're doing here. So I'm just going to remove these people. Remember, I'm passing people here. And then this is where I need people inside. So I'm going to remove this because I'm not passing this inside again. So I'm just going to bring back what I have here. So I don't need to remove person inside here. I just need people. So let's see. I refresh and I still have access to my people. I'm able to do whatever I want to do. So that's the way context works. Anybody confused? Anybody confused? So wherever you want to use this, wherever you want to use a particular item, because we are doing it on a single level. We're doing it on a single level. At some point, you have to remove your context to another place. Then you kind of do this use global context. So you're able to move from one page to another, one component to another without having the issue of prompt drilling. So that's how it works. But using it on this kind of small level, your use context, when you pass in the context that you create up here, and then instead of having to drill and drill and drill, so you just pass in whatever you need. So I needed this function. I needed this variable. So you see, if I hover on it, it tells you that, oh, this is an array of objects. Then I did not need to drill it inside here. I did also need to accept it inside here. But I am able to get people inside here and I'm able to map to the people. Then for the remove, I'm able to just get remove inside here where I need it. So you're able to just sieve out what you just need and use it. You don't need to like put in everything. So remove person, and then you're able to remove person from here. I don't know if anybody has any question regards to what we've done. If you're confused, let's talk about it. So we are good. Yes, if we are good, just say something in the chat or anything. You get the gist. Yeah, and just respond in the chat. Okay, so I think that is fine. Yeah, just go and try it out. You just need to, yeah, when you study, when you learn, you go and try it out because just listening to me, watching how it goes, won't get you to that point. You also need to try it out and see how it works. It's not very complicated. Not complicated. So this is just it. This is just so instead of having to drill prop, you can just do context API like this. Fine. Do it this way. So this is it. So in the absence of that, is there any other place that you guys have any other concerns? I'm actually taking things gradually. So the next thing that we'll look at is next. Yeah, we'll look at custom hooks. And probably we should look at routing. Okay, I said I was going to do something. Since we have a little bit of time, we're just going to set up, we're going to just set up this thing with Tailwind, a React project with Tailwind, and just see how that goes. So for us to do that, I will just open my browser. I just need to go to Tailwind. Okay. And I'm sure most of us already know how to do it. So because I actually need us to start, I need just start practicing. If you've not used Tailwind before, yeah, you just need to start practicing it. Okay, so what do we want to do? Let's see if I don't know what I want. Okay, so I'll just go with beats. So this is more like a direct way of doing this, where you just get this and automatically it gives you a React this thing, but you have to change this name. So let's just go gradually. So this is what you guys have been doing. So npm create beat at latest, and then you now start specifying all of this. So just in case you did not want that and do something else, let me just open this. Uh, and just a moment. I'm going to pull this up. All right. So I just need to do CMD. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just copy this guy. I will just create this here. What I'm doing is I'm going to change this name. I think I'll just do Tailwind projects, and I'll just press enter. Of this does this happens. Okay, so this is this. So I'm actually meant to CD into my Tailwind project. Tailwind. Okay, so I'm inside here. I just need to do a code dot because I want to open that project. And then this is it. Okay, so this is it. All set up and all. But then I'm not done. No. So I've done up to this point where I've seen it. So it's created my React project for me. What name did he give it? Tailwind project, because that was the name I chose. And then I now have to install this. So I go to this line, I copy it. Alternatively, I can just do this. Sure. I'll just open my terminal here because I have set this up. I don't know if this is how your own works. I don't know how you manage your Git. I do most of my stuff here. So I'll just paste this. So this is installing. Hope you guys can still hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I'm waiting for this to actually install. Taking a bit of time. So let me just be talking. So when this happens, the next thing I need to do is I need to init. I need to init. So I need to do Tailwind CSS and then I initialize it. So install this and its peer dependency. So you create the Tailwind config and then the post CSS. So let me see how far this has gone. This is taking longer than this. Oh, let's just give it a bit of time. This is actually not a difficult setup. I think my network is just doing its own shenanigans. Okay, I do other things while this is happening. Okay. All right, so that has happened. So we'll go over to the next step. So the next step is, what do we even do? Okay, so the next step is this other guy doing it. Okay, which is here already. So I just do this. Okay, and then this created a post css.config. I just bring in this plugins tailwind and auto prefix that. So when you're done with that, the next thing is you come to this your tailwind config, copy this, go here. This is what they have by default. I'll just put this thing is for the content, you can have index.html, you can have JSX, CS, and so on and so forth. Yeah, we'll get to understand how to even use some of these things inside here over time. Let's go back. So we've done this part. Then in your add the tailwind directive for each of the tailwind layer inside your SRC index.css. So we'll copy this one, move over to your index. Okay, apparently that was when the world was the world. Okay, where do I put this now? Okay, it's index.css here. So I remove all of this and I put this inside here. All right, so I have this here. What is left again? We start our development server. I'm going to stop this other one. Uh, okay, so I'm just going to all of them. I'm done with that side of life. And I'll just start this one, npm run there. Okay, so let me open this up. All right, this is what I have. This is what I have. So what's the last thing that we need to do? So it's now for us to test how we can use this. So I'm just going to copy this and I will go to my app.jsx. There's a whole lot of this in here. Unnecessary. I'll just paste this for now. And we don't need this. I also need this for now. Okay. So let's see. What is our this thing looking like? All right, so this is what we have. And I can go a step further because this app is interfering with a whole lot of things. So yeah, so this is Tailwind. So we've set up Tailwind, and the beauty of Tailwind is that, well, it allows you're freer to do a whole lot of things inside. So for those of us that do not know, you can play along with a lot of things. Yeah. Let's say for instance, now I just want do flex inside here. So these are classes. It's not different from Bootstrap. If you know Bootstrap, it's not different from your normal CSS thing, but it's just that this is calling to already predefined styles for you. So you have to learn to make this guy your friend, whatever you need, whatever you need. If I'm looking for flex, I just search and I have flex and I see how it works and so on and so forth. If I'm looking for whatever you're looking for, typography, font size, all of that. Let's just do a flex here. I'll just say flex. Let's say I want to divide my screen into two. Just for fun, I can just say dot width. So W is width. I can just say 1/2. So what this does is it divides it into 50%, 50%. I can just say H screen if you want it to fill your screen. So H screen. So this is like 100 VH. It's actually 100 VH, not like 100 VH. Then I want to give it a background, so I just say BG red. So all of these things is inside the documentation, just in case. So for you to know that this is actually working well, try it out first. Though. Let me say BG green. Voila. So you don't need to stress yourself. How many of us have used Tailwind here before? Just raise your hand, signify, let me know. Okay. Precious. King of what do they call it? King of Tailwind. Okay, just two people. Okay, so I need us to go and play around with it. Go and play around with Tailwind. Just see how it goes. If you need grid, whatever you need, just search for it. Grid, template columns. Yeah, so if I need something like this, I'll just copy this. I come inside here. I'll just paste that. Remove this other one. So, okay. So what's happening here? Okay, so this should not be, remember, this is React, so class name, class name. So this is saying have a grid, you need 4 columns, and then you need a gap of 16 pixels between each of them. So you need 4 columns, gap of this. Then I think another thing. So I'll just put a color here. Just do class name, e.g. So don't mind my color. My color is really whack. If you want to change the text color, so you just do text. What do they call it again? Blue 800. So this is for the text color. You want to change the font style or font size, or font weight, font semi-bold, bold, extra bold, all of that. Let's just see what I have done. So see. So it's just inline, 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 or line. Then you see that grid stuff that we did. So we are saying we want for 1, 2, 3, 4. So when it gets to 4, it wraps automatically for you. You're not stressing your life. So Tailwind is flexible. It's flexible for most of for the projects that we are going to work on. That's what we are going to use. So start now. Let's start brushing ourselves. Tailwind, Tailwind. Practice with it. Practice with it. Your task manager or anything, you can just use that and see how you learn Tailwind with that, how you can use it. that's fine. So, Marlux, what is this? Why are you clapping?
Sorry, I
Yeah.
actually wanted to raise my hand. It was a mistake. So basically, anytime we want to install Vite React, we shouldn't do the normal process, right? We should just go through this so that it also comes in with Tailwind.
That's an alternative. Other than that, what you would have done if you followed the way you've been doing it before, what you just need to do is you're going to just continue from the next step. So you just go to frameworks. It's Vite now. So instead of starting from the beginning, you just have to do npm install. You start from this step down to the last. So if you're using that your own method, that's the flow.
Thank you.
Alternatively, you can just go straight up and do it from here. Easy as pie.
Okay.
Yeah, any other person, any other question?
Yes, Ogochukwu. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I want to take you back a bit. I saw something when you were using use reducer. I don't know. What's the difference between use reducer and using the context API? And also, I saw something again. You were using if in the use reducer. You were using if I think the code. Why not use
Switch.
what's not yes if name? Yeah, why not use switch and case? Is there anything difference between both of them?
That's why we are smart people. So instead of using if, like I mentioned today, you can use switch instead of this. So that still works. So switch and use your case works. So what you'll be checking for is just this name. That works. Other than that, the other one, what were you asking?
The difference between use reducer and use context and context
Okay.
API.
Okay. So with this one now, I have to dispatch. I'm dispatching and I'm sending this. That's with reducer. But when I was doing this one, let's go back, context API. For me to use this remove person here, well, I didn't need to dispatch. I just called it inside here. So I already have my function already doing whatever it's doing. I don't have a default state like that. So I'm managing states inside here. So my state is inside here. For this other one, I have a default state outside here. So I need to dispatch, play around with this, return something. But for this other one, my state is still within here. My state is still within here. And I am doing this. But I think on a large scale, because when you move this thing out now, your state is outside. It is outside. To an extent, it may look almost similar. It may look almost similar. I think it's something that we will practice in class. So we're going to try using wrapping the whole application and then using that at some point. So, but for the meantime, the difference with this one is that on this level, for this is not like when you're using a global kind of context. You're just using it inside this page, like this. So because you're using it inside here, you don't need to do, you don't need to dispatch, but it's almost looks as if it's similar. But for the other one, you need to dispatch, and then you also need to check the type and all of that. So that's the difference between both of them. I don't know if you are clear on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, any other question? Okay, okay. Okay, so that's nice. So yeah, I don't want anybody slacking when we start doing real projects. That's why I'm doing this. I don't want to see wonky kind of designs. So let's let's go and sharpen our tailwind skill. All right. So I think why did you call Mubarak? Mubarak is Agbadevu. Wherever it's off. All right. So that's where we're going to stop the class for today. We'll draw the curtain here, and then we'll meet on Wednesday for more interesting topic. So yeah, we're almost rounding up to where we'll start doing hands-on, hands-on. A whole lot of talk and few projects. Yeah, we've been doing that. So very soon, to just be projects, 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 projects. So yeah, that's that. So let's so for those of us in the this thing, go and redo your application with what do they call it? With use reducer. What you submitted, redo it with use reducer. And then I wanted to address something. So there's actually a flow of how we do promotional tasks. Yeah, Edwin asked that earlier. So the thing is, for last week, we didn't have a promotional task. But for this week, we'll have a promotional task. So there's actually a calendar of things. It's not like every day. So there are eight, remember, there are 8 stages. So for you to get to that 8th stage, you have to submit a promotional task and all of that. So then again, cut off 75 and so on and so forth. So you know the details. As much as possible, try and boost your CGP. Okay, okay. So that is that. That is that. All right. So I think that is where we'll stop. David, how are you doing before I drop the curtain?
I'm doing well. Thank you. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think this is where we drop the curtain. Have a fun day. Bye, guys.
Bye.